So it is important to make work fun. I mean, ideally, we want to make things as fun as we can, especially if you're trying to motivate your child to try new tasks, if they're reluctant to try new tasks. I mean, nobody really looks at things like, housework as exciting and fun. So if we can, we want to try and make it a bit fun. Certainly think about things like playing your child's favorite music, right? I know when I clean the house, I will often put some good music on the stereo, turn it up a bit, and at least there's something pleasant going on while I'm scrubbing a toilet or mopping a floor, right? If your child is using a token-based system and sort of earning tokens for doing work, one of the things you can do is sort of make it like a bit of a hide-and-seek game and actually hide the tokens around the house in ways where they would find them while they're doing the work that they need to do. So if they're dusting, for example, maybe they have to move some things that are on a tabletop in order to dust. And so if they move things, then they're going to find their token. So think about things that you can do like that might make it a bit fun to do the work. Or turn the work into a game of some sort. So you can do how fast can you finish or who can finish first. If you've got a couple of kids, it could be, okay, we're going to make our beds. Who gets to finish first? Ready, set, go, and send them off. It doesn't seem like that would work, but surprisingly enough, for lots of kids, turning things into sort of a race or a game like that is really fun. And all of a sudden, they're really excited to do it. You can do things like how long can you work? So if you've ever done sort of how long can you exercise, how long can you go for a run for, and you sort of time yourself for how long you can last at an activity, and then you try to beat your time. You can do the same thing with how long can you vacuum, how long can you fold clothes, how long can you dust the house, and record times and sort of make it a beat your own time. Or how many of whatever can you do in 5 minutes, okay? We're gonna fold socks. Are we ready, set, go? How many can you get done in this amount of time? So think about some different ways we could sort of turn it into a game or make an activity a bit more fun. Even things like if we're rolling socks, then tossing them into a laundry basket like we're shooting baskets. So doing things like that where activities can be a bit enjoyable. Just because it's a household chore doesn't mean that it has to be drudgery, okay? The other thing we can think about is providing lots of choices. And we talked about providing choices yesterday as a way to prevent problem behavior for lots of individuals, right? So a lot of times individuals will engage in problematic behavior when their life is nothing but one demand after another, okay? It's just like this whole day of demands. And so if instead of making a bunch of demands, we can instead provide choices, it's still a work task, but rather than saying you have to do this work task, we can say, do you want to do this task or this task? And make it a choice. So again, when people are exerting a bit of control over what they do, they're often much more agreeable around doing things, okay? So it is really important to think about choice making, and most of us do make choices for ourselves in our daily lives. So think about choice making as actually a really important skill to teach. When your children reach adulthood, you want them to be able to make choices. When we're going to do tasks, how we're going to go about doing tasks, how long we're going to spend doing a given task, when we're going to take a break, whether we're going to do a task alone or do it with someone else, what rewards we're going to access when we're done. Again, I talked about this yesterday, but I suspect many of you have some sort of reinforcing task or liquid item hanging out somewhere that you plan to access when this is done, right? As sort of your reward for paying attention during a workshop all day. So what rewards might we access? When are we going to access those rewards? So certainly not everything is a choice, right? There are lots of things that we have to do from day to day. They're not choices. We just need to do them, right? You have to shower, especially as you get a little bit older, it starts to get smelly if you don't. So you have to shower every day. That's not really a choice, but you could choose which shampoo you use or which body wash you use or what color towel you dry with, right? There's still lots of choices that you can make around that. So really looking for opportunities to identify choices and provide those choices and teach your child to make choices. So that's going to be an important skill for them to learn. Over time, you want them to learn about, what happens when you make a good choice? What happens when you make a not so good choice? What are the outcomes? Living with the outcomes of your choices, right? So at some point in time, we also have to learn, if we make a choice, we kind of have to stick with it, right? So if I choose to, do X, I have to kind of live with the outcomes of X, whatever that might be, right? So sometimes we have to live with those choices. Sometimes it's really just about learning how to indicate a choice. So I think I mentioned earlier, there's an individual that I'm working with, and he's got a bit of difficulty around making choices. If you present him with a couple of things that are preferable, he can't choose one. He just kind of stands there. I don't know. He can't make a choice on his own. And that's going to be a really important skill for him, in terms of even just being able to indicate the things that he wants versus the things that he doesn't want. So we want to make sure that we're providing lots and lots of opportunities for children to make choices so that by the time they get to adulthood, they've got lots of experience making choices. They've got lots of experience around the outcomes of their choices, and they know how to make choices. So really look for as many opportunities as you can find during the day, and particularly during activities that you're trying to get your child to do. Look for all those opportunities that you can provide a choice for your child. So if you're really having a hard time thinking about this, you can offer rewards. What reward do you want to work for? And again, I mentioned earlier a reward menu. So you can have sort of a menu of items that individuals can choose from when they reach a goal, right? So if they're working with a token system, when they get 5 tokens, they choose from the menu, okay? I've got an individual right now who's earning money. So he earns money for doing a variety of tasks. And right now he's just learning to count dollars. So he's earning loonies. And when he earns enough loonies, he can buy something, right? And so what he actually does is when he has no money at all in the account, so he spent the money that he had, and now his account is empty, he goes to his catalog, and we've got a whole bunch of items. He likes Lego, he likes a whole bunch of other things, he likes comic books, and we've got a catalog for him where I've printed out a picture of each item, and underneath I've put the number of loonies that he has to save in order to be able to buy that item. So he goes through his catalog and he chooses what thing that he wants to save his money for, and he takes that out of his catalog and he sort of puts it in the box where he keeps his money. And then as he gets his money, he marks off the dollars that he's earning. And when he has all of the dollars that he needs, then he gets to go to the store and make that purchase, right? And so he's learning about making choices, setting a goal, saving for that goal, monitoring how close he is to that goal, and then letting somebody know when he's achieved the goal so that they can take him to the store, right? So lots of things that he's learning in that. You can give choices around saving versus spending, which is also an important skill to learn as well. So if your child is earning something, particularly money, right, then it could be, well, do you want to save your money or do you want to spend your money? Or do you want to save some of your money and spend some of your money, right? So thinking about those kinds of things. You can give choices around what task to do first. The order of tasks overall. Here are 3 tasks. They all need to be done today. I don't care what order you do them in, just so that they get done, and let your child decide what order they're going to do things in. You could give choices around materials to use. So for some activities, there are choices around materials. When we looked at dressing this morning, lots of you put in the comments around, choosing the color of shirt, choosing long sleeve versus short sleeve, those kinds of things. And if you're looking at embedding fun, they can also sort of choose the fun component, what music to listen to, or if they're playing a sort of race the clock activity, what time to beat. Do you want to beat the 2-minute time or the 3-minute time? Right? I mean, and it's really not that big a deal, but it's a choice, okay? So lots of opportunities for choices. And particularly if your child is a bit resistant, the more that you can provide choices, the more likely you are to kind of get them eagerly engaged as opposed to reluctantly engaged.